Stars bloomed like cold fire across the edge of the galaxy, and beneath their indifferent light, the galactic empire convened in orbit over a dead world. The High Emperor's voice carried through the crystal air of the war chamber, 1,000 species listening, hundreds of banners gleaming in silver and gold. "This Earth," he said, tasting the word as if it were something sour. "A pre-hyperlane anomaly. They reject imperial guidance, mock our peace decrees, and still use fire to propel themselves. They are an embarrassment to cosmic progress." Laughter filled the chamber, soft clicks, insect trills, metallic hums. The Empire's finest generals bowed low, their armor glittering with arrogance. They had crushed civilizations older than Earth's continents. They had erased worlds that resisted taxation. Earth would be a formality, a brief storm before another banquet. At the edge of the table, the Avician philosopher Cairn adjusted his breathing tubes and murmured, "They are small, yes, but their history bleeds too easily." No one heard him. The Emperor waved one jeweled claw. "Then it is settled. We invade at dawn." Light years away, dawn was already breaking, over a quiet control room deep beneath Colorado granite. The humans had known this was coming for months. Maybe years. They didn't panic, they prepared coffee. General Rebecca Sloan sat at the command table, shoulders straight, hair pulled into a no-nonsense knot that said no one leaves until this is over. She was 50, but carried herself like a storm that refused to fade. She watched the radar bloom, a new constellation forming where none should be. 1,000 contacts. All hostile. She took a sip. "Guess the neighbors finally noticed us." Her second-in-command, Colonel Harlan Briggs, leaned on the console with that half-grin Texans wear before gunfights. "They bring in pie or problems?" Sloan didn't look up. "You know the answer." "Then I'll get the music ready. I'm thinking AC/DC. "Too subtle," she said dryly. On the screens, alien ships shimmered like obsidian sharks moving through the void. The first scout transmissions arrived, encrypted, but human AIs tore through the code in seconds. Messages of superiority, of pity. Words like uplift and civilize. Sloan chuckled softly. "They're colonizers with better PR." The room filled with motion, techs moving, analysts calling coordinates. Yet beneath the noise was calm. Humanity had spent decades pretending to be weak. The plan had always been patience. Hide claws. Smile often. Let the galaxy mistake humility for fear. A transmission request blinked red. The Empire wanted to talk. Sloan nodded. "Put him through." The hologram that appeared above the table was a crystalline being of impossible symmetry, each facet reflecting contempt. The ambassador's voice rang like struck glass. "People of Earth, the Emperor extends his mercy. Lay down your weapons, and you shall be governed kindly. Resist, and you will be corrected." Sloan folded her hands, polite as a librarian. "That's generous. Tell him thank you." "But no." "No?" The ambassador echoed, rippling with color. "Perhaps you misheard the scale of our forces." "Oh, we heard," Sloan interrupted gently. "It's just, you're invading the wrong species for mercy." The alien's glow faltered. "You speak boldly for." "Don't mistake calm for weakness," she said. Her tone didn't rise, but something ancient moved beneath it. A subtle weight, the patience of predators who had learned that silence could kill faster than shouting. The ambassador's transmission flickered, uncertain. "You will regret." "Doubt it." Sloan gestured, and the hologram vanished. Harlan whistled low. "You just threatened a star empire with manners." "Old Earth custom," Sloan said. "Politeness before apocalypse." Outside the base, wind howled across the snow. Somewhere far above, humanity's defense grid stirred. Satellites once disguised as communication relays, now whispering to each other in coded pulses. Around the moon, hidden installations came online. The air grew electric. Sloan rose from her chair and walked to the observation deck. Earth hung quiet beneath her, beautiful and small. "They'll call us monsters when this is over," she said. Harlan joined her, his reflection ghostly in the glass. "They already do, ma'am. Just don't know why yet. She gave a faint smile. Let's keep it that way for now. Far above, the Imperial fleet entered orbit, stretching across the night like a crown of burning silver. Civilian broadcasts went silent. Across cities, people looked up, saw the sky shatter into blue light, and didn't scream. They filmed it. Memes, hashtags, jokes. One soldier posted, "Mom said don't invite strangers over." Another replied, "They'll learn why." The Empire interpreted this as madness, a primitive culture laughing before extinction. The truth was simpler. Humans laughed before every impossible fight. It was how they breathed. In the Empire's command ship, General Xyrix watched the planet's data. "Their defense grid is unremarkable," he said. "Primitive projectile weapons, slow atmospheric response. We will pacify them by evening." Cairn, the philosopher, turned his many eyes toward the stars. "They have not panicked." "Meaning?" "They are quiet," Cairn said softly. "Predators go quiet when they hunt." On Earth, Sloane's team finalized coordinates. Massive heat signatures rose from the oceans, submarines surfacing like beasts from myth. The general's voice came steady over the intercom. "Remember, they started this." A pilot chuckled nervously. "And we're gonna finish it." "Not yet," Sloane replied. "First, we let them think they're winning. Make him confident. Overreach is a faster killer than bullets." The first alien bombardment began. Or rather, what they thought was bombardment. Plasma lances stabbed at decoy cities projected from orbit, holographic metropolises flickering with false screams. The Empire's war logs filled with victory tallies. In the hidden control room, Sloane watched the performance. "Let them celebrate," she murmured. "The longer the smile, the deeper the fall." Harlan looked uneasy. "You ever get tired of playing bait?" "Every day," she said. "But winning's a habit you don't break." A distant rumble trembled through the walls, orbital debris, harmless fragments. To the untrained eye, it was chaos. To Sloane, it was music. Each explosion hit a calculated frequency, feeding data back into her neural command net. Patterns forming. In orbit, the Empire's flagship sent a second transmission. "Surrender now. You are surrounded." Sloane exhaled through her nose, weary but amused. "That's adorable." She turned to her comms officer. "Patch them our coordinates." "Ma'am?" "Let them see where the monsters live." The officer hesitated, then complied. Seconds later, alien sensors locked onto the mountain bunker. Cairn, watching from the fleet, felt dread coil in his stomach. "They want us to see them," he whispered. Sloane stood before her display, calm amid the storm. "They'll think we're desperate," she said softly. "They'll drop their guard. Then we'll teach them what extinction etiquette looks like." She took her mug of cold coffee, sipped and smirked. "Welcome to Earth, boys." In orbit, the Imperial flagship received one last signal before their sensors went white. A simple human voice, cheerful, recorded centuries ago. "We apologize for the inconvenience. You have entered a restricted airspace. Please stand by for assistance." The voice repeated once. Then twice. Then the stars themselves seemed to blink. General Xyrix leaned forward. "What is that signal doing?" Cairn's many eyes widened as realization dawned. "It's triangulating." A beat of silence. Then Earth's night hemisphere bloomed with light. Smoke and silence hung over the Pacific like a bruise. From orbit, the Galactic Empire's invasion looked flawless, columns of flame descending, cities erased in neat grids. But from Earth's surface, the picture was different. Humans didn't scatter. They moved. Not in panic, but in pattern. Traffic systems rerouted in seconds. Power grids shifted to silent reserve. Entire towns vanished underground like the planet itself was holding its breath. In a command bunker near the Aleutian Ridge, General Rebecca Sloane studied the incoming reports with that same unhurried calm that drove her subordinates half mad. "They think we're improvising," she said, voice low. "We've been rehearsing this for 50 years. Colonel Harlan Briggs leaned back in his chair, boots crossed on the console. Always said we'd get invaded on a Monday. Nobody's at their best on a Monday. Sloane allowed herself a faint smile. Let's ruin their week. Above them, the Imperial fleet expanded into perfect formation. Admiral Xyrix, encased in radiant armor, spoke with disdain as his ships unleashed waves of plasma toward coastal defenses. End this quickly, he ordered. Show the primitives mercy through efficiency. Mercy came flaming back. The first volley was met not with missiles, but with silence. Every impact that should have vaporized cities passed through holographic decoys projected from orbit, illusions drawn from decades of cinematic archives. When the aliens adjusted their targeting algorithms, real missiles rose from the oceans beneath them. Thousands of them. Tungsten rods streaked upward like God's own handwriting. Half the invasion fleet disintegrated before Xyrix could blink. Inside the human bunker, the air trembled with the roar of deep detonations. Sloane didn't flinch. Phase 1 accomplished, her operations chief confirmed. Good, she murmured. Now make it look accidental. Colonel Briggs snorted. You want me to fake an accident with orbital kinetics? Exactly. Let them think it was dumb luck. Nothing scares bureaucrats like the universe siding with the underdog. In space, chaos bloomed. The alien formation fractured, commanders screaming across comms, sensors overwhelmed by electromagnetic distortion. What they thought was human desperation was a synchronized ballet of deception. Decoys, countersigs, silent drone swarms threading between ships like invisible vipers. Admiral Xyrix slammed his clawed hand against the console. They cannot possibly. This world lacks hyperspace engineering. Cairn, the Avician philosopher, stood behind him, unease radiating from his glassy eyes. Admiral, he said softly, do not confuse ignorance with weakness. I warned. Enough warnings, Xyrix snapped. Their tricks will end. But they didn't. On Earth, Sloane watched feeds from orbit. Each explosion painted new constellations of wreckage. Too easy, she whispered. They'll adapt soon. Briggs cracked his knuckles. And when they do? Then we show them what humanity does best: make friends, break rules, and improvise mayhem. A comms officer called out. Incoming hail from their command ship. They're asking for surrender confirmation. Sloane arched an eyebrow. They think we're surrendering? Yes, ma'am. They sent coordinates for prisoner processing. Briggs grinned. Bold of them. Sloane nodded. Transmit our acceptance. Schedule a meeting. The room went still. Ma'am? You heard me. Let's be gracious hosts. Hours later, under the artificial light of the orbital station ISS Athena, the Empire's delegation arrived. Crystal-skinned envoys flanked by insectoid guards, all glimmering with self-assured superiority. They expected trembling officers and nervous speeches. Instead, General Sloane was waiting with tea. Real tea, brewed strong, no sugar. She gestured toward the chairs. Welcome to the edge of nowhere, she said pleasantly. Hope you don't mind gravity. The ambassador tried to sneer, but the scent of roasted leaves distracted him. This is a negotiation, not a refreshment ritual. Then we're both disappointed, Sloane replied. I prefer refreshment to negotiation. Fewer casualties. The envoy tilted his head. You are surrounded, human. Your orbital weapons are spent, your fleet's non-existent. Why do you smile? She stirred her tea with lazy precision. Because every time we smile, someone underestimates us. He clicked irritably. You cannot. Hold that thought, she interrupted, raising a hand. A quiet chime echoed from the walls. Sorry, that's the timer. The floor beneath them vibrated gently. The alien guards looked around in alarm. Through the viewport, hundreds of ships outside, Imperial vessels, shuddered, flickered, and went dark. Sloane took another sip. You brought your fleet too close to the Van Allen relay. My engineers are enthusiastic about magnetism. The envoy's glow dimmed. This cannot. Oh, it can, she said sweetly. You'll find most things we do shouldn't be possible. He stood abruptly. You are bluffing. Sloane gestured toward the window. Then call my bluff. The envoy hesitated, trembling in fractal color. Beyond the glass, the Empire's proud dreadnoughts floated powerless, a halo of smoke drifting over Earth's curve. You're smiling again, the alien whispered. Old habit, Sloane said. We grin before the storm. At that moment, deep beneath the Pacific, Operation Curtain Call initiated. EMP waves burst outward in symmetrical rings, blanketing the sky. The last functioning alien weaponry sparked and died. In 30 seconds, their entire invasion force was mute. On Earth's networks, silence was followed by laughter. Civilians streamed videos of falling ships captioned with, "Guess who's grounded?" One broadcast simply read, "Aliens landed, Earth retaliated with sarcasm." The Empire watched this madness in horror. To them, laughter in war was proof of psychosis. To humans it was therapy. Xyrix's flagship, now powerless, drifted near lunar orbit. He shouted into a dead comm channel, They are primitives." Cairn stared at the Earth through the viewport, his voice barely audible. "No, Admiral. They are the universe remembering how to bite." Back on the Athena, Sloane stood and extended her hand to the trembling envoy. "This doesn't have to end ugly," she said softly. "Surrender now, and we'll even let you keep your dignity. It's recyclable." The envoy hesitated, then spoke, voice fracturing like brittle glass. "You would dare mock the Emperor himself?" "Dare? Oh, honey," Sloane smiled. "That's our national pastime." Harlan Briggs' voice crackled through her earpiece. "Ma'am, we got readings from their backup fleet. Reinforcements inbound. Big ones." Sloane's humor dimmed, replaced by something colder. "How long?" 4 hours, maybe less. 10,000 ships, all coming angry." She looked back at the envoy, who seemed suddenly small beneath the human lights. "Then you'd better call home," she said. "Tell your Emperor Earth accepts his surrender in advance." He blinked, unsure if it was a joke. "Because once they arrive," she continued, "we won't be this friendly." Security escorted the aliens out, leaving Sloane alone by the viewport. Below her, the planet glowed with the slow heartbeat of civilization, wounded, defiant, alive. She whispered to herself, "They'll send the rest now. The real test." Briggs re-entered, holding 2 mugs of coffee. "You ever get tired of scaring gods?" Sloane took one, stared into the dark surface. "Only when they don't listen the first time." He leaned against the glass. "Think they'll ever learn?" She exhaled. "Everyone learns, Harlan. Some just learn in ash." From orbit, debris drifted like snow. Across the void, the Empire's surviving ships limped backward, carrying their shame and fury home. In the darkness, an encrypted pulse left Earth, so faint it vanished in background radiation. The message traveled faster than light, aimed directly at the Empire's capital world. No one aboard the fleet noticed it. Not yet. Down in the command center, Sloane turned off her communicator and said softly, "Phase 2 initiated. Let them believe we're celebrating." Briggs frowned. "Phase 2?" She looked up, eyes gleaming with a strange, patient fire. "They think this was defense," she said. "They haven't realized it was bait." A quiet hum filled the command chamber beneath the Rockies. Monitors painted the walls in pale blue light as data from across the solar system streamed in. Fleet movements, intercepted signals, fragments of alien code trying to rebuild themselves. General Rebecca Sloane stood in the middle of it all, motionless, her face calm but unreadable. Her coffee sat untouched beside her, steam long gone. 10,000 ships confirmed, said a voice. They're massing at the outer edge of Luna's orbit. Colonel Harlan Briggs turned from the display with his usual half-grin. 10,000, huh? Guess they didn't appreciate the hospitality. Sloane didn't smile. They're not here for a rematch, Harlan. They're here for revenge. She walked closer to the central hologram where the moon glowed pale, surrounded by crimson threat markers. Every species that's ever joined their empire is in that fleet. They're united by fear, ours. A beat of silence. Then she added softly, "Fear's an effective glue until it melts." Across the chamber, analysts and technicians worked with the focus of surgeons. Nobody joked anymore. Every word had weight now. Sloane clasped her hands behind her back. "Bring up Project Janitor." The room darkened. The holographic display filled with thousands of tiny metallic dots orbiting the planet. Insignificant, scattered debris. Except they weren't. Briggs whistled. "All those space junk satellites of ours, you really did hide them in plain sight." "History's greatest disguise," she said. "Every century we dumped more, scrap from launches, probes, station wreckage. The Empire thought we were messy. Turns out, we were patient." Briggs leaned in. "How many active?" "All of them." The lights flickered as command codes transmitted into the void. Each debris fragment responded, awakening old machine minds designed for one purpose. "We call it Janitor," Sloane continued, "because it cleans up unwanted guests." Outside Earth's atmosphere, microscopic thrusters flared like faint starlight. Thousands of invisible hunters began to move. On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Xyrix paced before his staff. His voice cut through the static. "Deploy every ship. Wipe them out. Leave nothing that breathes." Cairn, the Avician philosopher, turned his translucent eyes toward him. "And when you have wiped them out, Admiral, what then? What empire rules over Ash?" "This is justice," Xyrix snapped. "It feels like fear," Cairn murmured. Below, on Earth, Sloane stared at the console feed. "Power signatures rising," a tech reported. "They're charging planetary annihilators." Briggs folded his arms. "Seems like overkill for a species they called primitive." "They're trying to erase their own mistake," she said. "They don't understand, they're just confirming it." The room trembled as another tremor rippled through the mountain. An orbital strike test somewhere over the ocean. No target, just intimidation. Sloane turned to her team. "Hold position. No retaliation yet." Briggs frowned. "We're just gonna let them play with their toys?" "Yes," she said, calm as ever. "Every child needs to exhaust themselves before bedtime." The alien fleet advanced closer to Earth. From orbit, their sensors swept across continents. No defense signatures, no movement. The planet appeared still. Too still. Admiral Xyrix frowned. "Why have they gone silent?" "Perhaps surrender," one officer suggested. Cairn shook his head. "No. That silence is a choice." Sloane's voice echoed through the human control room. "Initiate full shadow mode. No global broadcasts. No visible heat signatures. I want them thinking we're ghosts." Lights dimmed. Cities across the world went black simultaneously. Even oceans cooled beneath electromagnetic masking. Earth became a perfect void in space. Briggs stared at the darkened map. "You just turned off the whole planet." She didn't look away. Sometimes the best way to scare a predator is to stop running. Out in orbit, the alien fleet hesitated. No sound. No resistance. Just a black sphere below. Xyrix's officers shifted uneasily. "Sir, sensors show no activity. They've vanished." "Then destroy the surface," Xyrix barked. "Nothing survives this night." Cairn closed his eyes. "They will survive. Because you want them gone more than they want you dead. That imbalance will end you." But Xyrix didn't listen. He ordered the strike. On Earth, Sloane's expression barely flickered. "Let it fall." A moment later, the sky ignited. Hundreds of plasma bursts streaking downward. But before they hit, something unexpected happened. The orbital debris, those countless fragments of junk, rearranged themselves midspace, locking into lattice formations. Magnetic lines connected across the globe, forming an invisible shield grid. Each plasma blast struck an unseen wall and shattered into harmless auroras. Briggs whispered, "You built a defense out of garbage." "Recycling," Sloane replied. "Saves lives and the planet." The room erupted in cheers as the auroras danced across the heavens. But Sloane didn't celebrate. Her gaze stayed fixed on the projection. "This isn't the end," she said. It's the moment they realize they can't win, and that's when they'll become truly dangerous. On the flagship, Xyrix's fury filled the air. Impossible. Their technology is irrelevant, Cairn finished quietly. They win because they refuse to believe they can lose. The Admiral turned on him. You admire them? I fear them, Cairn said simply. And I envy them. They turn fear into strategy. You turn it into arrogance. Sloane's comms officer approached. Ma'am, their secondary fleet just changed trajectory. They're not retreating. She turned slowly. Then they're learning. Harlan frowned. About what? That we never play defense twice. In orbit, human satellites realigned. Their combined signals converged into one pulse, barely visible, almost casual. But its pattern spread through alien systems like ink through water. Phase 3 complete, the tech confirmed. Good, Sloane said. Now we wait. The alien armada held formation. Then, slowly, its central ships began to drift out of sync. Navigation lights flickered. Engines misfired. Communication links died one by one. What's happening? Xyrix shouted. Cairn's voice was a whisper of awe. You didn't see it. They infected us. During their surrender transmission. They planted something. Panic erupted across the fleet. On Earth, Sloane finally took a sip of her coffee. Cold again. Right on schedule. Harlan stared at her. You sent that signal last night, didn't you? The one you called a courtesy call? Empire protocol required them to open our transmission on every flagship. Courtesy's underrated. So we're not just defending anymore, Harlan said. We're taking the fight to them. She nodded slowly. You can't survive predators forever. Eventually, you remind the jungle who started it. For a moment, neither spoke. Outside the window, the auroras were fading, replaced by falling streaks of burning ships. Ma'am, said the communications officer, we're detecting distress signals from their homeworld. Systems failure across the network. Sloane turned away from the screens. They haven't even realized this was just the ignition spark. Briggs's brow furrowed. Ignition for what? She looked at him. Calm, steady, dangerous. For extinction protocol. The room went silent. Somewhere far above, the last functioning alien dreadnought exploded into a silent bloom of light, scattering debris over the darkened planet below. And as the ashes drifted across the void, Sloane whispered, Phase 4 begins when they beg for peace. The galaxy burned like a dying map. Across hundreds of worlds, alarms screamed as Imperial systems failed in cascading silence. Entire fleets floated powerless, engines frozen mid-glow. Civilizations that had mocked Earth now whispered one question across the void. What are humans? General Rebecca Sloane stood alone in the war chamber, watching the holographic chaos unfold. Her reflection swam in the light of dying empires, crimson sparks where planets once glittered. She didn't smile this time. Victory wasn't a celebration. It was gravity, pulling everything down. Colonel Harlan Briggs entered quietly, the door sealing behind him. It's official, he said. Their central AIs collapsed. Command nodes offline, fleet control gone, and their Emperor's palace went dark 6 minutes ago. Sloane didn't look up. And casualties? Minimal, Briggs said. On our side. He hesitated. Theirs isn't pretty. She nodded slowly. It never is. Briggs studied her. Ma'am, people are saying this was too easy. That maybe we went too far. Her gaze stayed on the map. That's the point, Harlan. The galaxy needs to believe it was easy. Fear isn't born from difficulty, it's born from inevitability. The words hung there, heavy as the silence that followed. Outside Earth's orbit, the last fragments of the Imperial fleet drifted in molten ruin. Some ships sent surrender signals. Others played desperate religious hymns into the void. Sloane's eyes tracked them without pity. They thought war was something you managed, she murmured. We just reminded them it's something you survive. Still, Briggs said softly, This feels like vengeance, not defense. Sloane turned to him, and for the first time in weeks, her expression softened. You think I don't know that? Every move I made was vengeance disguised as strategy. Every defense protocol was written by people who never got to see peace. He didn't answer. Do you remember your grandfather's stories? She asked suddenly. The wars where humans fought each other with sticks and dreams? We used to fight over land. Then we fought over ideas. Now we fight over silence. Funny, isn't it? We got smarter at killing before we got better at understanding. A tremor rippled through the base as new transmissions came online. Incoming from the Avician homeworld, said a comms officer. They're requesting negotiations. Sloane raised an eyebrow. Negotiate what? Their extinction clause. They're offering information, the officer said. They claim the Emperor's last order was to trigger something called Project Divinity. Briggs frowned. Divinity? Sounds dramatic. Sounds dangerous, Sloane said. Patch them through. The hologram flickered to life. Cairn, the Avician philosopher. His once luminous skin now dimmed, voice trembling with fatigue. General Sloane, he said. If there's any reason left in your species, hear me. I'm listening, she said evenly. The Emperor knew he couldn't defeat you, Cairn said. So he unleashed divinity, a failsafe seated across their core worlds. When the Empire falls, so falls the galaxy's suns. A pyre to burn the victors. Sloane's heart clenched, but her face didn't move. You're telling me he booby-trapped reality itself? In essence, Cairn whispered. Our suns will collapse one by one, and the chain reaction will reach Sol in weeks. Briggs exhaled sharply. So, we win, and then everything dies? Sloane closed her eyes for half a second. Of course he'd take the galaxy with him. Tyrants always script their own martyrdom. General, Cairn said softly. You can stop it. You have what the Empire never understood, time. We calculated 37 days before Sol begins to dim. You have until then. Why help us? She asked. Because, Cairn said, his voice breaking. If the universe must have a future, it deserves to be written by monsters who regret it, not angels who don't. The connection cut, leaving silence that seemed to stretch beyond the stars. Briggs rubbed his temples. So, what's the plan? Sloane stared at the projection, mind working through chaos. We end it. All of it. She moved to the console, fingers flying across controls. Pull data from every captured ship. I want their quantum command pathways, their stellar ignition algorithms, their AI keys. Briggs hesitated. You're not thinking of using their tech. I am, she said. If they built a trigger to destroy suns, then somewhere in there is a way to turn it off. Or reverse it. And if there isn't? Then we light the fuse first, she said simply. Briggs froze. You'd burn their worlds? I'd burn 1,000 if it kept one sunrise alive. He stared at her, searching for the woman behind the legend. You used to hate war. I still do, she said. That's why I'm good at it. The room dimmed as data cascaded across the main display. Alien schematics, half-translated code, fractured fragments of a dying civilization. Sloane's team worked like ghosts, every keystroke echoing like a heartbeat. As hours passed, her plan took shape. They would channel the residual energy of collapsing stars, reroute it through the Empire's own relay network, and turn the ignition inward. A feedback strike, one final blow. Harlan read the numbers and swallowed hard. That would sterilize half the spiral arm. Sloane's gaze didn't waver. Better half than all. He tried to laugh, but it came out hollow. You know, I used to think you just liked scaring them. Turns out you scare me more. She looked at him finally, something human flickering beneath the steel. Good. It means you're still sane. The countdown began. Human and alien machines, enemies a day ago, now linked through forced alliance. Across the dying galaxy, energy arcs bridged dead suns like veins of light. At the command dais, Sloane whispered the activation code. Initiate Omega Protocol. Briggs whispered back. God help us. No, she said quietly. He already tried. The stars began to scream. Waves of light tore across the void as the Empire's residual network turned inward, devouring its own gravity wells. Suns imploded in bursts of silver fire, consuming their war factories, their slave worlds, their arrogance. But amid the destruction, new light flickered, faint, controlled. Sloane's plan worked. The chain reaction reversed course, folding the explosion back upon itself like a dying breath. When it was over, the galaxy was dimmer, quieter. Half the night sky gone, but Earth still glowed. Sloane slumped against the console, exhausted. Briggs stood beside her, watching the cosmic silence settle. "You did it," he said softly. "You stopped it." She exhaled. "No. We paused it." He frowned. "What do you mean?" She turned toward the viewport. "The Empire's gone, but someone will come looking. The universe doesn't like a power vacuum. It'll come again, different face, same hunger." Briggs sighed. "Then what now?" Sloane's eyes lifted to the stars, those that remained. "Now we rebuild," she said. "And when they come next time, they won't find a planet. They'll find a species waiting." Briggs raised his coffee cup in mock salute. "To peace, then?" She smirked faintly. "To preparation." The room fell quiet again. Screens dimmed, alarms faded. Only the hum of distant systems remained, steady, alive. Outside, dawn broke across the Rockies. Pale sunlight spilled through the glass as the first morning after war began. Sloane watched it rise, a single tear tracing down her cheek. "We just wanted to be left alone," she whispered. "Now the universe will remember to." Behind her, a console flickered. A new transmission, faint but persistent, from somewhere beyond known space. A language no system could translate. Briggs leaned closer. "Another distress call?" Sloane shook her head slowly. "No. That's not distress." The message repeated, rhythmic, almost melodic. "A greeting." She straightened, eyes narrowing. "Looks like someone new just heard the silence."